The gold pen hovered over the paper like a dagger over a heartbeat. "With this signature," Mr. Mason said, his voice cold as the marble floor, "the deal is sealed." Aprilyn stood between two bulky guards in the chandeliered conference hall, wrists trembling, breath thin, eyes burning with tears she refused to let fall. Sheikh Rahim al-Karim, the Arabian business tycoon whose name could move oil tankers and topple mayors, leaned back in his chair and nodded to a gleaming silver tray. On it lay a diamond-studded dog collar. "For the announcement," he said flatly. "We'll show the world she is ours. Consider it a collaring ceremony. She will parade in silence, like a pet. Cameras at noon." Aprilyn's lips parted. The air fled the room. Mr. Mason's pen touched paper. "Don't," she whispered, a single leaf against a hurricane. He smiled without warmth. The pen slashed his name. The door burst open. "Father, stop." A tall young man in a tailored suit, Adam Rahim al-Karim, the tycoon's only heir, strode in, eyes locking on the collar, then on Aprilyn. Time bent around his stare. Something flickered across his face. Shock, shame, and something else. Something that made the guards hesitate. The cameras on the tripods blinked red, already recording. "Father," Adam said, voice steady but urgent. "This is wrong." Sheikh Rahim's features hardened. "It is business." He gestured, and the guards stepped forward with the collar. "Please," Aprilyn breathed. The heir took one step toward her, and the guards reached out. "Cut." "What do you think happens next?" "Hold that thought. Let me take you back to how we got here. Because every storm begins with one blue sky that nobody remembers to honor." Aprilyn had arrived at Mr. Mason's mansion with a single suitcase and a prayer. She was 19 but looked younger when she smiled and older when she was tired. Back home, her grandmother had pressed a scarlet ribbon into her palm and said, "Child, remember the proverb, a river that forgets its source will dry in the sun. Be kind even when the world is not." Kindness was her stubborn habit. It was how she folded towels softer than morning, how she greeted gardeners by name, how she tucked notes of encouragement under coffee cups for other staff who walked with quiet sadness. In the mansion's polished silence, Aprilyn's goodness was a small candle that refused to go out. Mr. Mason pretended not to notice it. He liked numbers, not candles. He liked contracts, not stories. He owned a logistics empire that could ship anything from diamonds to refrigerated mangoes across oceans, and what he wanted more than sleep was a partnership with the Al-Karim Group. Rumor said the sheikh signed deals like kings once knighted soldiers, with a word and a nod that could set an entire country buzzing. "Sir?" Aprilyn asked one crisp morning as she served breakfast on the terrace. "Will you be needing extra place settings today? I heard there will be guests." "Two," Mr. Mason said, checking his watch. "One is important, the other is furniture." Aprilyn blinked. "Furniture, sir?" He didn't look up. When money talks, people become props. He stood, leaving behind a half-eaten omelet and a fresh sting in Aprilyn's chest. She gathered the plates, the sunlight catching the scarlet ribbon tied around her wrist, and told herself the same thing she always told herself. "Stay gentle. The world is mean enough without your help." The guests arrived in a fleet of black cars that made the driveway look like a chessboard of glossy pawns. Sheikh Rahim's handshake was cool, his eyes like polished stone that noticed everything and forgave nothing. Beside him walked Adam, shoulders square, gaze alert. He looked at the staff as if they were human beings with names and birthdays, and that surprised Aprilyn more than she liked to admit. She poured tea. The men talked numbers. The sheikh rejected Mr. Mason's proposals with the patience of a judge who has already decided the sentence. "You import," he said, sipping. "We control corridors. We do not need you. You need us." Mr. Mason laughed too loudly. "Sheikh, I can be useful. I can be flexible." Adam's eyes moved to Aprilyn's hands as she set down a saucer, noticing the faint redness near her knuckles from scrubbing floors. He frowned. The meeting dragged until the sunlight slanted thin across the lawn. Finally, Sheikh Rahim stood to leave. "No deal," he said. "We are not persuaded." Panic flashed across Mr. Mason's face. Empires do not always fall dramatically. Sometimes they simply wobble at the worst possible time. He needed this deal, needed the prestige, The press release, the stock bump that would keep creditors quiet and competitors guessing. "What?" Mr. Mason said, voice slippery. "Would persuade you?" The sheikh paused at the door, turned. His gaze drifted to the staff lined neatly along the wall. It landed on Aprilyn's face. For one breath, she held it. His eyes lowered to the ribbon at her wrist. "Respect," he said. "Loyalty. Symbols." "Symbols," he called them. Aprilyn felt the word like a cold hand around the back of her neck. Later, in his office, Mr. Mason stared at the skyline like it owed him favors. He pressed a button. "Bring in the maid," he told the head of security. When Aprilyn entered, he offered her a seat he didn't intend for her to take. "You've been with us 3 months," he said. "You work hard. You send money home?" "Yes, sir," she said softly. "For my grandmother's medicine." He nodded with fabricated sympathy. "What would you do," he asked, "to make sure she never runs out of it?" She hesitated. "Anything honest." "Honest," he murmured, as if tasting a foreign spice. "There are many kinds of honesty. My partners require gestures, temporary, harmless to your person, and very beneficial to your family. A public appearance. Nothing more." She thought of hospital bills and the way the pharmacy ceiling fan ticked slowly as it spun. "What kind of appearance?" "A symbolic one," he said too quickly. "You will stand. You will wear what you are given. It will end in 10 minutes. You will be paid more than you've ever seen." Aprilyn's stomach tightened. "A symbol of what?" "Loyalty," he said. "Our loyalty to them." He didn't tell her about the collar. He didn't tell her about the cameras. He called it employment paperwork when he slid a non-disclosure agreement across the desk. She signed because fear speaks louder than instincts when you're young and someone you love is counting on you. That night, as the mansion slept, she stood by the window and watched the stars hold a meeting nobody else was invited to. She whispered her grandmother's prayer twice, then a third time, until her heartbeat slowed. She thought of Proverbs. A hyena cannot understand the tears of a goat. She smiled at the silliness of it and fell asleep with the ribbon around her wrist. The morning of the appearance, a black car came for her. The head of security said her name without looking at her face. At the Al-Karim headquarters, glass, steel, and spires like spears, the lobby smelled like wealth and flowers that were flown in from places where winter never wins. Photographers adjusted lights. Assistants whispered into headsets. A tray passed by with sweets Aprilyn had only seen in magazines. Sheikh Rahim examined a document and clicked his pen. "We will announce a symbolic pledge," he told his team. "A reminder that assets serve masters. The world has grown soft. We will remind it how obedience looks." The silver tray with the collar gleamed on a side table. When Aprilyn saw it, her breath left like a startled bird. "No," she said before she could stop herself. Several faces turned toward her, then turned away, the way people look at rain through a window. There, and then not their problem. In the corridor beyond the glass doors, Adam paused. He was reading a report. He wasn't supposed to be on this floor. He wasn't supposed to be curious, but sometimes decency is just another form of disobedience that refuses to apologize for itself. He glanced up. Through the tinted glass, he saw the collar. He saw the girl. He saw the look on her face. He pushed the door open. Inside, Mr. Mason was already lifting the gold pen. "With this signature," he said, "and we are back at the moment where breath becomes a bridge or a cliff." "Father, stop." The guards hesitated. The cameras blinked. The PR director, a woman with immaculate eyeliner, said, "We're live in 60 seconds. "Adam," the sheikh said, each syllable a warning. "This is not your concern." "It is," Adam replied evenly, "when it is my conscience." "Conscience," the sheikh repeated, as if recalling an old acquaintance he didn't miss. "We negotiate with leverage. This girl is leverage. She is a symbol." "Her name is Aprilyn," Adam said. He turned to her. "Isn't it?" She blinked, surprised. "Yes." Mr. Mason cleared his throat. "Sheikh, we had an agreement, a symbol only. 10 minutes. Everyone is compensated." "Silence," the sheikh said without looking at him. He picked up the collar, weighed it in his palm, and gestured.
Proceed. A guard stepped toward Aprilyn, slow, inevitable. Please, she whispered, not to the guard, not to the sheikh, not even to Adam, but to the tiny green shoot of humanity she hoped was still alive in the room. For reasons he would not fully understand for weeks, Adam moved. Touch her and you answer to me, he said, stepping between her and the guard. Father, end this now. The room inhaled. Someone's phone dinged and no one moved to silence it. Sheikh Rahim looked at his son for a long time, then at Aprilyn, then at the collar. He set it back on the tray with a soft, metallic hush.
Very well, he said. If we must deal with conscience, let us marry conscience with strategy. He turned to the cameras and the scattering of invited observers who fed headlines to the world. Our pledge to the future must be living, not leather. We will not collar a girl. Mr. Mason started to smile in relief. We will honor beauty and gentleness properly, the sheikh continued coolly. We will marry her into our house. The room blurred around Aprilyn. The PR director gasped. Mr. Mason made a weird, choking sound. To whom? Adam asked, jaw tight. The sheikh's eyes did not leave Aprilyn's face. To my heir, he said. To you. The cameras blinked. The guards froze. Aprilyn's pulse pounded in her ears like surf. Mr. Mason swayed as if the floor had buckled under his expensive shoes. Adam opened his mouth, and the lights flared brighter as the cameraman lifted his hand to count down. 3, 2. Before we roll into the chaos that follows, a quick breath with you, dear viewer. If this story has you gripping your seat already, subscribe for more modern folktales, like the video to help others find it, and share it with a friend who loves twisty, heart-pounding stories with real morals. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? The cameraman's fingers hung in the air, 3, 2, then dropped. Red lights glowed. The world was watching. She will marry my heir, Sheikh Rahim said again, each word clear as glass. Adam did not blink. Father, you can't. Correction, the sheikh replied smoothly. I can. I just did. He gave a small nod. 2 PR assistants rushed forward with folders and a velvet box, as if a wedding could be packed like a gift. Aprilyn's throat was dry. The room swam. She heard the whisper of the collar on the silver tray, heard the click of a pen, the shuffle of guards. She felt the weight of 1,000 eyes through the cameras, strangers staring from places she could not imagine. Mr. Mason clapped once, too loudly. Brilliant pivot, he said, sweat shining at his hairline. A living pledge. How tasteful. The sheikh did not look at him. Adam, he said, give your statement. My what? Your statement, the PR director repeated, already thrusting a sheet into his hand. Just read. Smile near the end. Adam glanced at the script, then at Aprilyn. Her hands shook. Her ribbon trembled like a small red cry. He folded the paper in half and set it on the podium without reading. When he spoke, his voice was calm, but there was iron in it. My father asked me to make a statement, he said. Here it is. We are not commodities, not girls, not deals. If any union is announced today, it will be because 2 hearts choose, not because 2 companies do. A ripple moved through the room, confusion, interest, a few brave breaths of approval. The PR director froze. This was not on her run of show. The sheikh's mouth became a thin line. Enough, he said softly, which was more dangerous than a shout. We will speak privately. The cameras cut. Red lights died. The room let out a breath it had been holding for too long. Escort the girl to the waiting room, the PR director told a guard without meeting Aprilyn's eyes. Water. No phone. Adam's hand moved. A small shield. I'll take her, he said. She doesn't need another stranger's hand on her arm. For a second, the guard looked to the sheikh. The sheikh lifted 2 fingers. Permission. Adam guided Aprilyn through a side door into a quiet corridor, where the floor did not feel like a stage. Are you okay? He asked softly. She swallowed. I don't know. He took off his suit jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. It was warm. It smelled like clean soap and cedar. You're safe with me right now, he said. I can't promise everything, but I can promise that. Tears filled her eyes. She did not let them fall. Why would anyone think? She could not finish the sentence. Some shame is too heavy to say out loud. Because power forgets names, Adam said, almost to himself. It starts calling people symbols. And once you are a symbol, cruelty feels tidy. I'm not a symbol, she whispered. I'm just a girl. I make beds and pancakes and send money to my grandma. That's all. That's a lot, he said. It's more than these rooms understand. They sat in silence for a few breaths. Sounds drifted from the main hall, voices sharpening, heels ticking like clocks against the floor. Aprilyn's hands were cold. Adam rubbed them between his palms, gentle, the way someone warms a bird they want to set free. Thank you for saying my name, she said suddenly. Back there, you said her name is Aprilyn. Nobody says our names when they talk about us. He smiled a little. Names are where dignity starts. A woman in a gray suit appeared. Mr. Al-Karim, your father wants you. Her eyes flicked to Aprilyn. He says the announcement continues in 10 minutes. The legal team has drafts. Adam stood. Stay here, he whispered. Drink water. If anyone tries to move you, say you are with me. She nodded. He left. In the main hall, the air had turned colder. The sheikh stood at the head of the long table. Contracts lay like white stones. Mr. Mason hovered near the end, trying to smile and not faint at the same time. Father, Adam said, you cannot make me do this. I can require you to do what is right for this family, the sheikh replied. This is not about marriage. It is about message. We will be celebrated for elevating a servant instead of parading cruelty. The world loves mercy stories. It will flatter us while we secure the corridors we need. Elevating, Adam repeated, the word burning his tongue. By taking a frightened girl and tying her life to ours because you need a headline? She is demure and beautiful, the sheikh said evenly. She will learn to be grateful. I want to say, Adam said. So does she. You want to say, the sheikh echoed, amused and irritated. Then say yes. It is simple. Mr. Mason, emboldened by the idea of rescue, opened his mouth. If I may. You may not, the sheikh said, and Mr. Mason closed his mouth so fast his teeth clicked. The legal director slid a document across the table. An engagement notice, she said. Not binding as marriage, but binding enough for headlines. If the heir refuses to sign, the secondary document activates. Adam's stomach tightened. Secondary? The woman's voice stayed calm. A service agreement. The girl remains in our control as a public goodwill ambassador for 10 years. Travel, appearances, obedience clauses, all lawful. The room tilted. Adam gripped the edge of the table. That is not lawful. That is a cage. It is a contract, the sheikh said, and the boss who offered her to us signed his half an hour ago. All eyes slid to Mr. Mason. He tried to laugh. It came out wrong. It was only a contingency, he stammered. No harm, good PR for everyone, and I need this deal. Adam's jaw clenched. You sold her fear. Mr. Mason held up both hands. I gave her opportunity. Adam turned back to his father. I will not sign anything that traps her. Then she will be trapped without your name to protect her, the sheikh said too softly. Decide. The word hung there like a blade. Adam pushed the engagement notice away. Call off both, he said. Let her go home. We will find a different way to— No, the sheikh said, and the hall seemed to grow taller around the syllable. The announcement proceeds. If you want it to be a shield, sign. If not, step aside. A minute later, Adam was back in the quiet corridor. Everyone else walked on hard feet that made hard sounds. He walked with care. He stopped in front of Aprilyn, hands empty, face pale. What did he say? She asked. Adam sat down beside her so he was not standing over her. He wants an engagement announcement. Today. She flinched. Engaged? To you. Yes, publicly. It is supposed to honor you. He made air quotes that looked like they hurt his fingers. If I don't sign, he will lock you into a long contract to appear as their ambassador. You would travel, smile, obey. For years. Aprilyn stared at the wall as if she could see through it to the sky. She thought of her grandmother's hands. She thought of the scarlet ribbon. Her voice, when it came, was quiet and clear. "I don't want to belong to anybody," she said. "Not even kindly. I want to belong to myself." Adam nodded slowly. "That's the right answer." "What will you do?" "I will buy you time," he said. "Time is the first friend when everything else is enemy." "How?" "By pretending to agree," he said, and his smile was tired and stubborn at once. "By signing only what keeps you out of a cage, and then using every inch of light that gives us." "Will that help?" "It will help right now." She closed her eyes, opened them. "Okay." They returned to the hall. The PR director arranged them in front of a wall washed with soft light. The velvet box opened with a click. Inside, a ring shone like a small piece of rain. "Hold hands," she instructed. "Not too romantic. Think friendly." Adam took Aprilyn's hand like it was a promise he had no right to make and every duty to keep. He signed the notice, adding 2 lines the legal director tried to object to, and he forced her to initial anyway, non-binding, subject to mutual consent at all times. Aprilyn printed her name in careful letters, hand trembling. The PR director beamed. The cameras rolled again. Comments began to bloom across the screen like fireflies, some kind, some cruel, some confused. "Say something sweet," the PR director coaxed. "Something about fate." Adam lifted the microphone. "We met today," he said. "Fate didn't introduce us. Conscience did. If you are watching this, remember, people are not props, and kindness is stronger than a contract." Somewhere, 1,000 thumbs paused over their screens. A less extreme moment followed because life, even under bright lights, still insists on tea and breathing. The staff brought water and fresh air. The ring went back into its box. The Sheikh's phone buzzed with texts from investors who loved the sudden glow of morality. Mr. Mason's phone buzzed with texts from bankers who believed he had done something wise, when in truth he had only stepped back from a fire he started. Aprilyn sat in a small lounge with big windows and watched clouds move like slow ships. A young assistant named Nora slipped into the chair next to her and whispered, "I'm sorry. I work here. I thought I was strong. I didn't say anything." "You are saying it now," Aprilyn replied, and Nora nodded, tears bright. Aprilyn thought of pancakes and laundry lines and the way her grandmother sang to the radio when the sun was low. For a minute, she let herself breathe like a human being and not a headline. She pinched the ribbon, felt its familiar softness, and told herself again, "Stay gentle. Stay you." Then the door opened, and the day sharpened again. The Sheikh stepped in with 2 men in dark suits. Their smiles did not reach their eyes. "We have updated plans," he said, every syllable clipped. "To honor our pledge with splendid clarity, the ceremony will be tonight. A small civil service aboard the Nadia, our yacht. Exclusive, elegant, non-negotiable." Adam stood. "No, we agreed on a notice, not a ceremony." "We agreed that the girl would be honored," the Sheikh said. "We will honor her with speed. Delay invites scrutiny. Scrutiny invites questions. Questions spoil deals." He motioned to the men. They lifted a garment bag and a folder. "Her dress," he said, "and her temporary travel papers. Our lawyers arranged everything. We sail at sunset." Aprilyn's chair felt suddenly smaller. "Tonight?" she echoed. Her voice floated as if it belonged to someone else. "Congratulations," the Sheikh said, and his smile was a locked door. "You will both thank me later." And before Adam could answer, before Aprilyn could stand, the men stepped closer with the garment bag and the folder, soft, polite, and terrifying, while the clock on the wall said a truth no one wanted to hear. Sunset was close. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And if this story has your heart racing, hit subscribe, like, and share so more people see that kindness can push back against power. The garment bag unzipped with a whisper that sounded louder than thunder. Out slid a gown of shimmering silver silk, stitched with pearls so tiny they looked like frozen tears. One of the men held it up against Aprilyn's frame as if she were a mannequin. "She will wear this for the ceremony," Sheikh Rahim declared. His tone was final, like the clang of a prison gate. Aprilyn flinched back. I can't. Her voice cracked. I didn't agree to this. Agreement is not required, the sheikh said without a flicker of emotion. Obedience is. Adam stepped between his father's men and Aprilyn, spreading his arms. No, you heard the document. It's non-binding. She owes you nothing, and I won't allow you to push this further. The sheikh's eyes narrowed. You presume too much, son. You confuse mercy with choice. The world is watching, and weakness invites enemies. Tonight seals strength. I call it cruelty. Adam shot back. His voice trembled with both rage and fear. And cruelty has never built anything that lasts. The two men shifted uneasily, glancing between father and son. Aprilyn, trembling in her seat, clutched her scarlet ribbon until it dug into her skin. Her grandmother's words whispered in her memory. Even a caged bird can still sing, and the right song can break bars. For one suspended heartbeat, the room hung on the edge of something dangerous. Then the sheikh turned away abruptly, robes sweeping like a storm cloud. Enough. You will be on that yacht by nightfall, both of you. He strode out, leaving silence heavy in his wake. Mr. Mason, who had been shrinking into a corner, finally spoke. Well, he muttered, voice shaky. At least it's an elegant arrangement. Better than the collar. He forced a nervous laugh. Adam spun on him. Better? You sold her like furniture, and now you have the gall to act relieved. Mr. Mason's face flushed. Business requires sacrifice. Everyone sacrifices something. She should be proud. Proud, Adam's voice thundered. She's terrified. Aprilyn rose slowly, her body trembling but her voice steadier now. Mr. Mason, she said softly, I washed your plates, I ironed your shirts, I prayed for your health when you never even learned my name. And you sold me. Do you know what that makes you? Mr. Mason's lips moved, but no words came. Her eyes, gentle, sorrowful, yet burning, held him still. He looked away, ashamed. It was a less extreme moment, a quiet exchange, but one that sliced deeper than shouting. For the first time, Mr. Mason felt the sting of his own betrayal. Adam gently touched Aprilyn's arm. We need to think. My father won't stop until he gets his way, but tonight could also be our chance. Our chance? She asked. He leaned close, whispering quickly. The yacht isn't just a cage, it's a stage, and stages can be turned. Cameras, witnesses, investors. If we use the spotlight, we might flip his own game against him. Aprilyn frowned. That sounds dangerous. It is, Adam admitted, but so is silence. The hours bled toward sunset. Aprilyn was ushered into a luxurious dressing suite on the yacht. The gown gleamed on a hanger, and attendants fussed with her hair. She sat stiff as a statue, barely breathing. Through the window, the ocean stretched endless and indifferent. Down below, Adam paced the deck, rehearsing words he hadn't yet found. He glanced at the glistening horizon, praying it would lend him courage. The yacht's engines rumbled to life. The city lights shrank behind them. The sheikh emerged on the upper deck in a flowing robe, nodding at his guests. Politicians, businessmen, reporters, who raised glasses of champagne. Tonight, he announced grandly, we celebrate honor, loyalty, and the strength of family bonds. The crowd cheered. Cameras flashed. Then Aprilyn appeared. The attendants had dressed her in the silver gown, her hair in a crown of soft waves. She looked fragile and radiant at once, like moonlight trapped in glass. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Even the hard-faced investors leaned forward. The sheikh lifted a hand. Behold, the girl who was once a servant, now embraced into our house. Tonight she will be promised to my son, Adam, a pledge of loyalty, sealed by blood and beauty. The applause swelled. Adam stepped forward. His eyes found Aprilyn's. She looked at him silently pleading, "Don't let them break me." He gripped the microphone. His heart thundered. The cameras blinked. The sheikh's expectant gaze burned into his back, and then Adam made his choice. He turned to the crowd, his voice steady as iron. "Ladies and gentlemen," he declared, "my father would have you believe this ceremony is about honor, but what you see here is not honor. It is theft. This young woman was betrayed by the man she worked for, sold like property. She was to be humiliated in front of you. I will not let it happen. The crowd froze. Murmurs erupted. The Sheikh's smile vanished. Adam reached for Aprilyn's hand, raising it high. Her name is Aprilyn. She is not for sale. She is not a symbol. She is a human being, and she deserves to be free. If you have any conscience left, you will see this truth tonight. Gasps, shouts, camera flashes like lightning. The Sheikh's voice boomed over the chaos. Adam, enough! Adam faced him squarely. No, father. Enough from you. The yacht shook, not from the waves, but from the storm of voices rising among the guests, the investors, the reporters. Some applauded, others shouted. Phones streamed live. The story was spreading faster than the tide. The Sheikh's face darkened, rage rippling beneath his calm exterior. He snapped his fingers. Guards began to move toward Adam and Aprilyn. Aprilyn's pulse raced. She squeezed Adam's hand. The stage had turned into a battlefield, and just as the guards closed in, a loud voice rang out from the crowd. Stop! All heads turned. Mr. Mason stood trembling, face pale, hands raised. He stepped forward, voice cracking but loud enough for the cameras. It's true. I sold her. I betrayed her. But I was wrong. She deserves better than this. We all do. The crowd erupted into new chaos. Half scandal, half awe. The Sheikh's glare could have set fire to the ocean. The guards hesitated, uncertain. And then, out of nowhere, Aprilyn herself stepped to the microphone. Her voice, quiet but fierce, sliced through the noise. I am Aprilyn, she said, and I refuse to be anyone's cage. The yacht fell into stunned silence. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And don't forget, subscribe, like, and share if you believe no one should ever be treated like property. The sea air turned icy, though the night was warm. Every soul on the yacht froze at Aprilyn's words. I refuse to be anyone's cage. It was not loud, yet it cut deeper than a scream. The Sheikh's jaw clenched. His fingers tapped the railing like a drum of doom. Remove her, he commanded in a voice soft as a blade. The guard stepped forward, but something strange happened. The crowd, polished investors, politicians in tailored suits, reporters with cameras, did not move aside. They stood still, some murmuring, some gasping, some nodding faintly as if Aprilyn's courage had shaken something buried in them. She spoke truth, one guest whispered. Did you hear it? She's only a maid, another replied, but the words lacked force. Adam planted himself before Aprilyn. You will not touch her. The guards hesitated. His voice carried the weight of airship, even against the Sheikh's command. Stand down, the Sheikh thundered. The yacht's deck quivered with silence. The guards froze between father and son. Mr. Mason, sweating through his expensive suit, shuffled closer. Sheikh, perhaps it's wiser to ease the room. Investors are watching. Cameras are rolling. The wrong move. Silence, traitor, the Sheikh barked. His glare could have crushed granite, but Adam seized the moment. He pulled Aprilyn toward the microphone again. Let her speak. If you silence her now, you silence your own future. The crowd stirred. The cameras blinked red. The Sheikh could not stop them without turning admiration into scandal. Aprilyn's hands shook, but she lifted her chin. She thought of her grandmother's words, a kind tongue breaks bones. Her voice, soft yet steady, rolled into the night. You call me servant, you call me symbol, but I am neither. I am Aprilyn. I wake early, I work hard, I care for my grandmother. My worth is not in contracts or collars or gowns. It is in kindness. It is in love. If any of you think I am less, look into your own hearts and ask why cruelty feels easier than respect. The crowd erupted, not in mockery, but in applause. Some clapped hesitantly, others boldly, until the sound spread like wildfire. Even reporters lowered their cameras for a second, stunned by her bravery. The Sheikh's face darkened like a storm cloud. Enough of this theater. But the tide had turned. The guests murmured, eyes shifting not toward him but toward Aprilyn. Investors who once feared his power now smelled weakness. Power that breaks dignity loses its shine. Less extreme tension followed as the music faltered back to life, forced by trembling musicians. Waiters still served drinks, but their eyes were wide, darting toward the scene. Aprilyn was ushered into a side lounge under Adam's protection. For a moment, it felt like a pause, like the storm had passed. Inside the lounge, Aprilyn sat shaking. Adam poured her water. "You were incredible," he said softly. "The way they listened, you broke through." She clutched the ribbon at her wrist. "I didn't know if my voice would come out." "It did," he said, smiling faintly, "and it was stronger than his." But outside, storm clouds brewed. The sheikh retreated into a private cabin with his closest men. His voice thundered through the walls. "If the crowd turns against us, the deal collapses. If the deal collapses, Mason's empire crumbles. And if my son believes he can humiliate me on my own deck, then he forgets who made him heir." One of his advisors spoke cautiously. "What do you command, Sheikh?" He slammed his fist onto the table. "Tonight we remind them who rules. If Adam chooses defiance, he will be stripped. If the girl chooses rebellion, she will vanish." Meanwhile, back in the lounge, Aprilyn leaned closer to Adam. "He won't forgive you," she whispered. "Not after this." "I know," Adam said, his eyes fierce. "But I don't need his forgiveness. I need your safety." The yacht lurched suddenly, engine revving harder, cutting deeper into the Black Sea. Aprilyn gripped the chair. "What's happening?" Adam's face paled. "He's moving us away from the city, out to international waters. Why?" "So no one can stop him," Adam whispered. The door burst open. 2 guards stormed in. "Orders," one said. "The sheikh demands both of you on the lower deck, now." Adam stood, shielding Aprilyn. "And if we refuse?" The guard's hand brushed the gun at his belt. "You won't." Aprilyn's pulse raced. The scarlet ribbon slipped down her wrist, catching the light like a warning flare. Adam squeezed her hand. "Stay close," he murmured. They were escorted down narrow stairwells past the roaring engine room to a chamber lined with steel. The door shut behind them with a heavy clang. Inside, waiting in the half-light, was the sheikh. His robe glimmered faintly, but his face was shadowed, cold as the sea. "You have embarrassed me before my partners," he said. His voice was no longer thunder, it was ice. "Now, you will learn the cost." The guards tightened their grip on their weapons. Adam pulled Aprilyn behind him. The sheikh raised a hand. "Take him." The guards moved. "Tell me, where are you watching from? And if you believe Aprilyn's voice deserves to be heard, subscribe, like, and share this story so the world sees the power of kindness against cruelty." The guards lunged, boots pounding against the steel floor. Adam shoved Aprilyn behind him and swung hard at the first man. His fist cracked against the guard's jaw, an ugly sound. The second guard grabbed Adam's arm, twisting, but Adam slammed his shoulder forward and broke free. Aprilyn pressed herself to the wall, hands trembling, watching the struggle. Her heart screamed, "Don't let them take him." "Enough!" Sheikh Rahim barked, slamming his cane on the floor. The sharp echo froze the room for a heartbeat. His eyes glowed with fury. "If my son prefers to fight like a peasant, then he will be treated like one. Chain him." The guards surged again. Adam fought hard, but 2 against 1 was brutal. A chain clattered across the floor, shackles snapping around his wrists. They dragged him down to his knees. Aprilyn rushed forward. "Please," she cried, voice cracking. "Stop hurting him. He's your son." The sheikh's glare cut through her plea. "A son who forgets obedience is no son of mine. He has chosen shame." He turned his gaze on her, cold and calculating. "And you, girl, you are the cause." Aprilyn's knees weakened, but she refused to drop her eyes. "I only spoke the truth," she whispered. "Truth?" The sheikh's laugh was like broken glass. "The truth is whatever power says it is, and I am power." The yacht rocked against the waves. Chains rattled as Adam tried to rise, only to be shoved back down, his eyes locked with Aprilyn's. "Don't give up," he said hoarsely. "No matter what he does, don't let him break you." Tears blurred her vision. "I won't." A guard pushed her toward a steel chair bolted to the floor. Another guard pulled out a rope. Fear coiled in her stomach. "Bind her," the sheikh ordered. "Let her watch as her defender loses everything. By sunrise, she will beg to be silent." The ropes scraped against her skin as they tied her hands. Aprilyn clenched her jaw. "Even a caged bird can sing," her grandmother's words repeated in her mind. The sheikh paced slowly, his robe brushing the floor. "Adam," he said, "you threw away wealth, power, and legacy for this girl. Tell me, what has she given you in return?" Adam, chained but unbroken, lifted his chin. She gave me the courage to see you for what you are. The Sheikh's eyes flashed with rage. He raised his cane, striking Adam across the back. Aprilyn screamed, straining against the ropes. "Stop it! You'll kill him!" The Sheikh raised the cane again. Then, bang! The yacht shuddered violently. A sound like thunder rolled across the steel hull. The lights flickered. The guards staggered. Everyone froze. "What was that?" one guard shouted. Another guard rushed to the intercom. "Captain, report!" Static crackled. Then a panicked voice answered. "Sir, the starboard engine. Explosion. We're taking water." The Sheikh's face drained of color. "What?" The yacht tilted slightly, the floor groaning beneath them. Glass shattered somewhere above. Screams erupted on the upper decks. Aprilyn's heart raced. This is our chance. In the chaos, Adam surged forward, using the weight of his chained body to slam into one guard, sending him sprawling. Aprilyn twisted her wrists against the rope, skin burning, until the knot slipped. The second guard drew his pistol, aiming at Adam. "No!" Aprilyn screamed, launching herself at the guard with all the strength of desperation. The gun fired, a deafening crack, but the shot went wide, shattering a light on the wall. Sparks rained down. Adam tackled the guard to the ground, chains clanging, and wrestled the gun away. The Sheikh stepped back, shock written across his face. "Stop this at once!" But the tide had turned. Aprilyn, hands raw and bleeding, grabbed the loose chain and yanked hard, freeing Adam's wrists from the stunned guard's grip. Adam rose, battered but burning with defiance, pistol in hand. For the first time, the Sheikh looked uncertain. The yacht tilted again, water rushing somewhere below. Shouts of "Lifeboats! Get to the lifeboats!" echoed through the corridors. Panic spread like fire. Adam pointed the pistol at the guards. "Drop your weapons, now!" One by one, the guards obeyed, fear flickering in their eyes. Aprilyn grabbed Adam's hand, pulling him toward the door. "We have to get off this ship before it sinks." The Sheikh's voice roared behind them. "If you leave now, you'll be nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing." Adam looked back, eyes blazing. Better nothing than a monster. He slammed the door shut, locking his father inside the steel chamber. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you believe courage can break even the strongest chains. The steel door rattled with the Sheikh's furious pounding, but Adam dragged Aprilyn into the dark corridor before it burst open. The yacht groaned, tilting harder, throwing them against the wall. Sirens wailed. Red emergency lights flashed like angry eyes. Guests screamed as they stumbled down the narrow hallways in designer gowns and tailored suits, clutching jewels and briefcases instead of life vests. A waiter dropped a silver tray, glasses smashing into shards that skittered like ice across the floor. Aprilyn gripped Adam's hand. "Which way?" "Up," he shouted over the sirens. "We need the upper deck. Lifeboats will be there." They fought their way upward as the yacht listed more sharply. Aprilyn's gown snagged on a jagged bolt. She yanked free, tearing the expensive silk but not caring. Breathless, she followed Adam through the smoke-filled corridor until they burst into the open night air. The deck was chaos. Guests shoved past each other, screaming, some in tears, some shoving others aside to reach the lifeboats. The sea roared around them, black and endless, the stars above flickering like faraway lanterns. One lifeboat was already being lowered, overcrowded, people shrieking as it swung wildly. "Adam!" Aprilyn gasped, pointing. Guards were seizing boats for themselves, ignoring the women and children. Some pushed trembling servants away, snarling, "No room! No room!" Adam's jaw tightened. He gripped her hand. "Stay behind me." He strode into the chaos, his voice booming over the panic. "Enough! Everyone step back. The lifeboats will not leave until women and children are safe first." No one listened. The panic was too thick. A guard sneered and swung at Adam. Adam ducked and drove his fist into the man's ribs, sending him sprawling. Another raised a pistol, until Aprilyn screamed, "Look out!" Adam twisted just as the shot cracked. The bullet missed, lodging in the railing. A group of guests gasped. Some began pulling back, shame flickering across their faces. Others still fought like animals for space. Aprilyn pushed past Adam, her voice trembling but strong. "Stop, please, listen to yourselves. You have money, you have power, but none of it will float in the sea. If you trample others now, you'll drown with guilt heavier than the water." Her words struck something deep. Mothers clutched their children tighter. A father stepped back and lifted his little girl toward a boat. Slowly, like dawn pushing away night, the frenzy cooled. Just enough for order to creep back in. Adam seized the moment, barking instructions. 2 lines, women and children first, men help lower the boats. Guests, desperate for survival yet shaken by Aprilyn's words, began obeying. A lifeboat splashed down safely. Another followed. It was a brief calm in the storm. Aprilyn and Adam stood side by side, guiding frightened passengers toward safety. For the first time that night, she felt hope bloom inside her chest. But then, a loud metallic screech ripped through the air. The yacht listed sharply, throwing people against the railing. A section of the deck cracked, splitting open like a wound. Screams erupted. One of the lifeboats overturned, tossing passengers into the black water. "Hold on!" Adam cried, grabbing Aprilyn as she stumbled. Her ribbon slipped loose, fluttering into the sea. Her heart clenched. It felt like losing her grandmother's hand. From the shadows near the stairwell, a furious voice roared. "You think you can defy me? You think you can shame me before the world?" The sheikh appeared, robe whipping in the sea wind, eyes burning with rage. Somehow he had escaped the locked chamber, flanked by 2 loyal guards. In his hand gleamed a pistol. The crowd shrieked, scattering back from him. "Adam!" Aprilyn gasped, pulling closer. The sheikh raised the weapon, aiming straight at his son. "You will kneel, here, now, before everyone, or I end you." The deck went silent. The only sounds, the groaning yacht and the screaming sea. Adam stood tall, chest heaving, chains of defiance still bright in his eyes. "I will never kneel to cruelty," he said. The sheikh's finger tightened on the trigger. Aprilyn screamed, throwing herself in front of Adam. Bang! The shot split the night. Sparks flew from the steel railing inches from Aprilyn's head. Gasps tore through the crowd. The sheikh had missed, or perhaps hesitated, his face twisted with rage at his own faltering hand. Adam pulled Aprilyn behind him. "Run!" he whispered, but the sheikh stepped forward, pistol steady again, fury shaking his arm. "You will not leave this ship alive." Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And don't forget, subscribe, like, and share if you believe love and courage can stand even against the darkest storms. The barrel of the pistol glinted in the deck light, steady in the sheikh's hand. The ocean wind whipped through his robe, but his aim did not falter. Adam's breath came slow and measured, every muscle tensed, shielding Aprilyn behind him. "Father," Adam said, voice low but cutting, "you will not win this way. Even if you kill me, the cameras have already seen the truth. The world is watching." The sheikh sneered. "The world forgets quickly. Fear lasts longer." Gasps and cries rippled through the crowd, many guests ducking behind overturned tables, others clutching children close. No one dared step between father and son. Aprilyn's voice trembled, but she forced it out. "Please, don't do this. He's your child." The sheikh's eyes snapped to her, fury blazing. You are the rot that poisoned my heir." His hand twitched on the trigger. Aprilyn's knees weakened, but she stood taller. "No," I reminded him what it means to be human. That single sentence rippled through the deck. Some of the guests, businessmen hardened by greed, lowered their eyes in shame. A young mother whispered, "She's right." Adam seized the moment. "If you want to shoot someone, shoot me, but you will not touch her." He stepped forward, chest square to the gun. The sheikh's jaw tightened. He raised the pistol higher. Then, crack! The deck beneath them split with a violent screech as steel tore apart. A section of railing collapsed into the sea. The yacht groaned, tilting harder. Water splashed onto the deck, spraying everyone. The sheikh staggered, his aim jolting off course. The pistol fired, the shot streaking harmlessly into the night sky. Screams erupted. Guests stampeded toward the lifeboats again. Adam lunged, slamming into his father. The pistol skidded across the wet deck, clattering near the feet of a trembling investor. The man, shaking, kicked it overboard. It vanished into the dark sea. The sheikh roared, shoving Adam back with surprising strength. "Ungrateful son," he bellowed. "I built everything you stand on." Adam wiped blood from his lip, chest heaving. "You built walls, father. I'm done living inside them." The sheikh charged again, fists swinging. Adam blocked the blow and countered, sending his father crashing into a deck chair. For the first time, the great tycoon looked small. Just an aging man undone by pride. Less extreme quiet followed as the guests scrambled into lifeboats. The chaos dulled into sobs and prayers. Aprilyn hurried to Adam's side, gripping his arm. "We have to go. The ship won't last." He nodded, pulling her toward the final lifeboat. A few seats remained. A crying child reached for Aprilyn, and she lifted him in without thinking, handing him to his mother. "Go, quickly," a sailor urged. "We're lowering." But before Aprilyn could climb in, a hand seized her wrist. The sheikh, battered and bleeding, had risen again. His eyes burned with a madness deeper than the sea. "You think you can escape me?" he hissed. "You are mine, both of you. If I sink, you sink with me." He yanked Aprilyn back, dragging her away from the lifeboat. She cried out, struggling, nails scratching against the slick deck. Adam spun around, fury exploding in his chest. "Let her go!" he roared, charging at his father. The sheikh tightened his grip, pulling Aprilyn toward the broken edge of the deck where the sea churned below. "If I can't control her," he snarled, "then the ocean will." Aprilyn screamed, her silver gown whipping in the wind, her body half over the rail. Adam lunged, grabbing her free hand. Their eyes locked, his fierce with desperation, hers wide with terror. Between them, the sheikh's grip pulled like an anchor, determined to drag her into the abyss. The yacht tilted again, a deafening groan splitting the night as water surged higher. Sparks burst from the mast. Guests wailed from the lifeboats below. Adam's knuckles turned white as he strained. "Hold on, Aprilyn!" Her voice broke. "I can't!" And then the sheikh gave one final heave, dragging her closer to the edge. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story if you believe kindness is stronger than greed. The night split with screams as Aprilyn dangled over the churning sea, her silver gown whipping like a torn flag. One hand clung desperately to Adam's, the other trapped in the sheikh's iron grip. "Let her go," Adam roared, straining to pull her back. Muscles bulged, veins stood out on his neck, but the sheikh's grip was merciless. "You will not take her from me," the sheikh bellowed, his face twisted with madness. "She is mine, my proof of power." The deck tilted again, salt water rushing across the boards, nearly sweeping Adam's feet from under him. Aprilyn gasped, coughing as spray lashed her face. Her arms shook violently, her grip slipping. "Adam!" she cried. "I've got you!" he shouted back, his voice raw. "I won't let you fall." But the sheikh yanked harder, dragging her toward the abyss. Adam's body strained like a rope about to snap. The air buzzed with panic, every second stretched thin. Then, Aprilyn's voice cut through the chaos. Not weak, not terrified, but fierce. "I am not yours." With a sudden twist of her wrist, she wrenched her arm against the sheikh's thumb, the weakest point of any grip. Pain shot through her arm, but the sheikh's hold faltered. In that instant, Adam yanked with all his strength, hauling her up and crashing her against his chest. The sheikh stumbled forward, momentum carrying him dangerously close to the broken railing. His foot slipped on the wet deck. For a heartbeat, his body teetered over the roaring sea. "Father!" Adam shouted instinctively, reaching out, despite everything. But the sheikh slapped his hand away, pride brighter than survival. His eyes blazed with fury and disbelief as the ocean claimed him. With a final roar, he toppled backward into the black waves. Splash. Silence swallowed the deck. Only the thunder of the sea remained. Aprilyn clung to Adam, her body trembling violently. He's gone," she whispered. Adam's face twisted with pain. Not joy, not triumph, but grief mixed with relief. "He chose pride over life," he murmured. Even at the end, he couldn't let go. Less extreme quiet followed as the ship listed harder. Guests in lifeboats sobbed and prayed. The deck tilted at a sharper angle, ropes groaning, lights flickering out one by one. The mighty yacht was dying. "We have to move," Adam said, pulling Aprilyn toward the last lifeboat. "It's sinking fast." They stumbled across the deck, waves crashing higher now, soaking them both to the skin. The silver gown clung heavy to Aprilyn's legs. She tore the hem with shaking hands, freeing herself to run. "Wait!" a voice called. Nora, the young assistant who had whispered an apology earlier, clung to the railing nearby. "Please, help me!" Aprilyn darted toward her without hesitation. "Take my hand!" she cried, pulling the terrified woman free. Adam steadied them both, guiding all three toward the lifeboat. The sailors shouted, "Hurry, we're lowering!" Adam lifted Aprilyn into the boat first. She reached back for Nora. then for him. For a second, the deck shuddered violently, nearly tearing him away, but he leapt and landed safely inside. The sailors cut the ropes, and the lifeboat plunged into the Black Sea below. The massive yacht groaned above them, tilting almost on its side. Guests screamed as the last of the ship disappeared into the waves. Then, with a deafening roar, the great vessel slipped beneath the surface, swallowed whole by the ocean. The sea went eerily calm. Aprilyn clutched Adam's hand tightly, her chest heaving, tears streaming freely now. Around them, survivors huddled in silence, faces pale in the moonlight. Some whispered prayers, others stared blankly at the horizon. Adam pulled Aprilyn close, wrapping his arms around her. "It's over," he whispered. "You're safe now." But Aprilyn shook her head. "No, it's not over. What happens when we reach shore? What will they say? What will they do to us?" Adam's jaw tightened. He looked at the survivors, at the investors who had once bowed to his father, at Mr. Mason who sat hunched in shame. "They will say what they always say," Adam replied softly. But this time, the truth was seen by everyone, and truth has a way of surviving even storms. Aprilyn laid her head against his shoulder, the scarlet ribbon lost to the sea but her spirit still burning bright. For the first time, she allowed herself to hope. And then, from the shadows of the lifeboat, a voice hissed, "It isn't over! Not yet!" Everyone turned. One of the Sheikh's most loyal guards sat in the corner, a knife glinting in his hand. His eyes burned with vengeance. "You think you've won?" he spat. "The Sheikh may be gone, but his will lives in us, and you?" He pointed the blade at Aprilyn. "You will not see the sunrise." Gasps rippled across the boat. Survivors recoiled. Aprilyn froze, her pulse pounding. Adam stepped in front of her, his body a shield once again. The guard crouched, ready to strike. The lifeboat rocked violently under the sudden movement. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And don't forget, subscribe, like, and share if you believe even in the darkest waters, hope can still shine. The moon cast silver streaks across the restless sea as the lifeboat rocked beneath them. The guard's knife gleamed like a shard of lightning in his hand, his face twisted with fury. Survivors gasped, some pulling their children closer, others shrinking into the shadows of the boat. "Stay back," Adam warned, voice steady but low, shielding Aprilyn behind him. His fists clenched, though he was unarmed. The guard sneered. "You think you've escaped, but you haven't. The Sheikh gave me orders long before tonight. If he should ever fall, she must fall with him. That girl is cursed to our house, and I will finish what he started." Aprilyn's stomach knotted. She pressed closer to Adam, her voice trembling but defiant. "I am not cursed. I am free." The guard lunged. Gasps split the night as the blade flashed downward. Adam caught the guard's wrist mid-swing. The two men wrestled violently, bodies slamming against the edges of the lifeboat. The small vessel rocked dangerously, water sloshing inside. "Adam!" Aprilyn cried, reaching out. "Stay back!" he shouted, straining against the knife. His arms trembled, muscles burning as he forced the blade away from his chest. The guard snarled, spit flying. "You're weak, just like your father said. You don't deserve the name Al-Karim." "I don't want it!" Adam roared, slamming his forehead against the guards. The man howled in pain, staggering, but he didn't let go of the knife. Less extreme quiet followed for a moment. The survivors frozen, breaths held, no one daring to move. Even Mr. Mason, huddled in shame at the back, looked like a ghost of himself. Aprilyn's eyes darted around the lifeboat. Rope. Oars. A broken piece of metal railing salvaged from the sinking yacht. Her hand shot out, gripping the metal shard. Her body shook, but her spirit did not. "Adam!" she shouted, tossing it to him. He caught it mid-air, swinging in one desperate motion. The shard clanged against the guard's wrist. The knife flew from his hand, spinning into the Black Sea with a splash. The guard roared in fury and lunged again, tackling Adam to the floor of the boat. The two rolled, fists pounding, teeth bared like animals. Survivors screamed. The lifeboat pitched dangerously close to capsizing. Aprilyn didn't hesitate. She grabbed the heavy wooden oar at her feet and swung with all her strength. Crack! The oar struck the guard's shoulder, sending him reeling. Adam surged up, landing one final punch. The guard collapsed, unconscious, sprawled in the bottom of the boat. The survivors exhaled as one, some clapping, others whispering prayers of relief. Aprilyn dropped the oar. her chest heaving, hands trembling violently. Adam pulled her into his arms, breathing hard, sweat and seawater dripping down his face. "You saved me," he whispered, voice raw. "No," she murmured, pressing her forehead to his. "We saved each other." For a long moment, silence settled over the lifeboat. Only the ocean's sigh filled the air. The danger seemed to pass, leaving exhaustion and fragile relief behind. But then, from the other end of the boat, Mr. Mason stirred. His face pale, eyes sunken, he cleared his throat. "I have something to say." All eyes turned to him, some with anger, others with suspicion. He swallowed hard. "This girl, Aprilyn," he began, his voice shaking. "I betrayed her. I sold her for money and contracts. I told myself it was business, that it wasn't real harm. But watching her tonight," he paused, tears filling his eyes. "I see now that I gave away the only real light in my house. I see now that greed is a disease, and I was infected." Aprilyn stared at him, speechless. Mason bowed his head. "If we survive this night, I swear before all of you, I will make it right. I will give Aprilyn everything I stole from her, and more. Not as pity, not as penance, as the truth she deserves." Murmurs rippled through the survivors. Some nodded, some scoffed. Aprilyn's heart ached with confusion. Could she ever forgive him? Could a man so selfish truly change? Before she could answer, a distant shout carried across the waves. "Over here! Survivors!" All heads whipped toward the horizon. A ship's silhouette loomed in the moonlight, searchlights sweeping the water. The voices grew louder, closer. Hope flared in every chest. "They've found us," Adam breathed. "We're saved." But Aprilyn's body stiffened. Her eyes narrowed on the approaching vessel. It wasn't a Coast Guard ship. It wasn't painted in white and red. The flag whipping in the wind bore a golden crest she recognized from the Sheikh's documents. Her stomach dropped. "No," she whispered. "That's not rescue." Adam followed her gaze, his face hardening. "It's his fleet." The survivors gasped. The Sheikh might have drowned, but his empire had not. And now, his loyal men were closing in. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you believe that even when enemies surround us, truth can still lead the way. The survivors' cheers died as quickly as they rose. The looming vessel cut across the waves like a predator, its golden crest catching the moonlight, a mark of the Al-Karim Empire. Aprilyn's heart pounded. "It isn't rescue," she whispered again, her voice trembling. "It's a net." Adam clenched his fists. "He's gone, but his men still hunt for us. They'll drag us back, twist the story, and bury the truth." The lifeboat rocked as survivors shifted nervously. Mothers clutched children tighter. Investors muttered among themselves, torn between fear and loyalty. Mr. Mason bowed his head, guilt pressing like an anchor. "They'll silence us," one man whispered. "We saw too much." "No." Aprilyn's voice cut through the fear. She sat taller, her torn silver gown clinging to her in the salt wind. "We won't be silent. Not anymore." The ship drew closer, searchlights sweeping across the lifeboat. A bullhorn crackled. "This is the Golden Pearl. Survivors, prepare to be boarded." Some survivors cheered weakly, desperate for safety, but Adam gripped Aprilyn's hand tighter. "If we step onto that ship, we may never step off again." Aprilyn's eyes scanned the dark horizon. Faintly, beyond the Golden Pearl, she spotted another light. Smaller, flickering, steady. A different ship. Hope whispered through her chest. "Look," she murmured, pointing. Adam narrowed his eyes. "A Coast Guard patrol," he said, breath catching. "But they're too far. By the time they reach us..." Aprilyn's spirit blazed with stubborn fire. "Then we hold out until they do." The guard they had knocked unconscious earlier groaned, stirring in the corner of the lifeboat. His words came slurred but venomous. "You'll never outrun us. The Empire is everywhere. The girl belongs to us." "No," Aprilyn said firmly, her voice shaking the boat more than the waves. "I belong to no one." Less extreme calm followed as the lifeboat drifted between two fates. Survivors murmured prayers, the sea rocking them like a cradle before a storm. Adam never let go of Aprilyn's hand. his eyes locked on the smaller light in the distance. Then the golden pearl loomed close, a rope ladder tossed down, armed men leaning over the rails. "Board now," one barked. The survivors froze, torn between terror and obedience. Suddenly, Mr. Mason stood. His voice trembled but carried strength no one expected. "No, we won't board. Not her. Not any of us. This girl shamed me with her courage tonight, and if I let them take her now, I'll die more coward than man." Aprilyn's eyes widened. She had never heard defiance from him before. The armed men raised their rifles. Tension snapped in the air. Adam stood, spreading his arms wide. "You'll take us only by force, but if you fire, the world will know. You'll be killing survivors, not rescuing them." The bullhorn crackled again. "You think the world cares? The Sheikh's reach is longer than any coast guard." As if summoned by his words, the distant patrol ship's siren wailed, cutting through the night. A beam of white light swept across the sea, landing squarely on the lifeboat. Cheers erupted from the survivors. "They see us!" The men on the Golden Pearl panicked. Orders barked. Engines roared. The massive ship began to turn, retreating into the shadows before the Coast Guard could intercept. Aprilyn sagged against Adam, tears spilling freely. "We made it," she whispered. "We're really going to live." The Coast Guard ship drew alongside, strong hands pulling survivors aboard. Blankets were draped over shaking shoulders. Children sobbed into their mothers' arms. For the first time all night, safety felt real. Aprilyn and Adam stood together on the deck, drenched, battered, but unbroken. She looked up at him, voice soft. "You fought for me when you didn't have to." He smiled faintly. "You spoke truth when no one else dared. That saved us both." Behind them, Mr. Mason approached, shame etched deep into his face. He dropped to his knees before Aprilyn. "I was blind," he said hoarsely. "I sold you like property, and tonight I saw what that made me. If you spit in my face, I'll deserve it. But if you let me live, I'll spend the rest of my life undoing what I did to you." Aprilyn studied him. Silence stretched, broken only by the waves. Finally, she whispered, "Redemption isn't in words, it's in deeds. If you mean it, prove it." He bowed his head, tears streaming, and for once in his life, he said nothing more. As dawn painted the sky gold, Aprilyn stood at the railing. The horizon glowed with promise. For the first time since her scarlet ribbon slipped into the sea, she felt truly free. Adam slipped his arm around her. "The storm is over." She nodded, resting her head on his shoulder. "Yes, but the story has only just begun." Because this was more than survival. It was the birth of a new chapter, where kindness, courage, and truth rose stronger than power, greed, and fear. And though the Sheikh was gone, his empire trembling, one thing was certain: Aprilyn's voice would never again be silenced. The end. Now, dear viewers, where are you watching this story from? Drop your location in the comments. And if this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so more people hear tales of courage, kindness, and redemption.